Hey, I wanted to go over one thing that came up in some of the discussions so far, the bios and intro discussions. That is teamwork. I highly encourage you to work in teams on these assignments. I don't want one person doing all the work, of course, but if you can form teams, you're allowed to form teams on your own and do the assignments together. I highly encourage that. And collaborating is a real world tool. It doesn't get any more real world than that. Learn how to collaborate. So I encourage you to do so. My challenge is I'm not so sure how you can do that in a COVID environment. Normally I'd say, meet in a library or meet in a lab or whatever the case is, meet at Starbucks. But I want to keep you as safe as possible. So I know that the face-to-face will be a little bit more challenging. I guess you could do a little bit of social distancing and wear a mask, of course, if you do get together face-to-face. I want to make sure everybody understands that I am not an advocate of how our government is handling this situation. I think the CDC and some of these wingnut doctors are not looking at the science, even though they say they are. And the reason I can say that is because my daughter got COVID, okay? And there was no reason for her to get COVID. She got it because a county employee wasn't wearing a mask. Her boyfriend is a fireman and he's a lieutenant. He should know better. My daughter is a former EMT and they have been dating for several years, and unfortunately they got together and she ended up getting COVID. He didn't have any symptoms and she ended up getting very sick. I think she's on week 12. My wife and I actually talked about it last night, but we think she's on week 12 of having COVID, and it's bad stuff. She's been out of work the whole time. Fortunately, her company, she works for Lay's, she's a manager there, they are paying her to stay at home because they don't want to make anybody else sick, so that kind of worked out for her. But for you as students, COVID becomes challenging, especially if you want to work in any type of group work environment. I would suggest Zoom. I am just as curious about this whole how we're going to do team environments. We do have tools that I have been trained to use, although I don't like a lot of them that are used in the college environment. And mainly it's because I have privacy concerns. A lot of them are third-party tools for collaboration and teamwork. I've been through the training over the last couple of years because I am a digital certified technology instructor for online learning. And one thing I learned was when I would sign up for these different tools to try them out, I would get slammed with emails, and I still get slammed with marketing emails, and it's very annoying. So I'm not even going to make any recommendations for you on any of those outside tools that the college has suggested that we use in the classroom, but just because of that reason. I've expressed my concerns over it. It is what it is, and we're not going to go down that path. But I would say that probably Zoom's the best thing that you could do. Maybe Skype, but please include me, especially in the initial couple of weeks here. If you guys start forming groups, just send an email out to your class and say, hey, does anybody want to work in a group? There are a lot of you that say that you want to do group work. Okay, I don't manage the groups. I have nothing to do with the groups. I've learned a long time ago not to get involved in groups. But groups, depending on the students, can be an excellent way to learn. I know I did group work when I was going through my graduate program, and I loved group work. Of course, even in a graduate program, you have your students or your people that are in the program with you that don't do their fair share, and that kind of pissed me off a little bit. So if you do form groups and you have somebody that's not doing their fair share, I suggest you address them within the group as a group and be as polite as possible, because we don't want to offend anybody. And then if that isn't working and the student still is kind of sloughing off or not making meetings or not going online, do whatever you decide to do, then shoot me an email and let me know, and then I'll fire one over the bow. Most of the time I do find, though, that in the online classes when people form groups, they do it very well. And they normally say, this person in my group are doing great, and I don't need to do anything else throughout the semester. It's just part of being an adult. Every now and then I got to step in. But I find that to be, ironically, more in the project management and the teamwork classes. That's what they're there to learn, and yet they got a problem. In these classes, COP 1000 especially, somehow the groups just, they end up falling into place and they work. So that's pretty much it on groups. Again, I highly encourage it. That's a skill set you can all work on yourselves. I've worked in groups my whole life. It is a requirement in the IT world. You're not going to get around it. Somebody posted in one of my classes about meetings. And this is a funny story. I remember one time I was at a meeting with a friend of mine, another engineer, Brad Boucher, and we were at a meeting. We looked around the room. We're looking around, and I even forgot this is how bad this was. There was like 30 people in the room. Right, it's a pretty big room, and we're looking around. And when we left the room, we looked at each other, and Brad said to me, he said, "That was like a $30,000 meeting." I said, "Yeah, it was a 1-hour meeting, but the people that were in there were all high-end people." And to prove how meetings sometimes just aren't productive. All right. If you're meeting with 3 or 4 people and you're discussing homework and you got a path, you're okay. But when you're discussing a big project, I have found 9 times out of 10 the big project in the meeting does not work. All right. And I've been in the industry for a long, long time. So again, highly encouraged to do group work and whether it's online, just keep me in the loop because I want to know what's working and what isn't working for next semester. All right. My previous classes, we didn't have any issues and they kind of muddled through it somehow and everybody did great. But this is the first time where we've kind of been hit with new students that are new to the online format, new to college, and they're trying to do their work. So if you guys got some pointers or some tips, please fill me in so that I can share them with the rest of the faculty, if anything. And then every now and then I do like to drop in a group. Technically, I'm retired. All right, I left Disney about 6 or 8 months ago. So when it's raining out, like today, it's raining because of the 2 storms. I can't go fishing. I can't paint. Can't cut the grass. All right, so I'm sitting in my office. I am going to put up some ceiling tile in my office. But sometimes I like to drop in and just see what people are doing and say hello because I like to check in on the groups once in a while. It's not mandatory. If you don't want me in your group, hey, no harm, no foul. But if you're going to do a group, and you don't mind me dropping in, let me know because I might drop in and say hello. Take care, folks. Have a good day. Be safe. Wear that mask, man.